Jesus Christ was not born with a sword in his hand. Neither was he born with a silver spoon. He was not revealed to the world as a conquering Messiah, but as a humble Messiah. His words and courage broke the walls of human hostilities and hard-heartedness. The gospel reading of this day of Epiphany further buttresses this, and he says, "Here is my servant whom I have chosen, and he will proclaim justice to the nations. He will not quarrel or cry out. No one will hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out, till he has brought justice through to victory. In his name, the nations will put their hope." Throughout my childhood, I actually wondered what Christianity and Jesus Christ was all about. I was not looking for a theological or philosophical explanation written in books, but I was looking for a human representation of Christ in character and deed. Under the watchful eyes of my foster father, the late Henry Onyewuchi of Umukehi Ojoorata in Nigeria, I truly saw a straightforward Jesus in him, whose his words matched his actions. He was a very loving Jesus indeed, because he spoke kindly to me. And also he was a very strict Jesus, because he knocked my head whenever I failed mathematics. As I progressed, I met the now late Benjamin Wankiti, former Archbishop of the Province II in the Church of Nigeria. From afar, I saw in him Jesus. Unlike some of his peers, the late Bishop Wankiti never accepted to be treated like a god. He was an epitome of episcopal humility. Benjamin's presence in a crisis situation often led to tranquility. Later on in life, I discovered that despite my years in the university, that I could not truly explain or write in clear terms what it means to be Christian, or what the central message of Christianity is all about. With time, I came in contact with my ordaining bishop, Cyril Okorocha, from whom I heard for the first time that the gospel is holistic and should be, and that the gospel should permeate every strata of society without restriction. From him I heard of a holy God and a loving Jesus who calls us to take refuge in him without while dropping what he called in Igbo language, arorala and awo. In summary, dropping arorala and awo in Igbo terms means abandoning wickedness and a deceitful or cunning life in order to be like Christ. My bosom friend and confidant, the Venerable Chukwuemeka Chuks Iwabu, who was ordained 12 years ago in this cathedral, would often ask me, if people claim that they have seen Jesus, have they turned away from undoing one another and being wicked to each other? Finally, I met a theologian, a friend, Venerable Akajiaku Chukwuocha, from whom I concluded that the Holy of Holies, or the core of the gospel, is to lovingly reconcile all men and nations to Christ. But who is Christ? In this year's Epiphany service, I ask, who is this little Christ that attracted the Magi and Herod and the poor shepherds. Why did the Magi turn away from the wicked Herod after they met the little Jesus Christ in a manger? There are quite some interesting theories of who the Magi were and where they came from. But in my own conclusion, they were men whose voice and position influenced kingdoms and directed, and of course redirected the policies of the nations where they came from. They may have been wealthy kings or wealthy prime ministers like Daniel of the Bible. But the point I'm making here is that after Jesus Christ was physically revealed or shown to them, these eminent personalities understood that visiting Herod again would have probably meant catastrophe to peace and that of peacemaking. I say this because they listened to the voice of reason and took another way home. Can we today listen to the same voice of reason as seen in our declarations of human rights? Today, I invite all the people of the earth to see Jesus Christ and turn away from arurala and awa, turn away from deceit and guile, discrimination and hate, and listen to the eternal voice of reason. I urge my sisters and brothers who occupy positions of influence to influence a ceasefire in war-torn territories and war-torn homes. Jesus Christ has been presented to the shepherds and to the Magi at birth, and they became more peaceful afterwards. Can we also be more peaceful? Can hostage takers and kidnappers stop the hostage taking and embrace the peaceful Jesus Christ? Can we stop the stealing of national resources and decide to end poverty? Can we also become more loving? Can we also become more accommodating and more forgiving? Once again, I repeat the words of Christ. Come unto me, all ye who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Amen.